Hi guys, and welcome back to Movies That Matter with the Viking. Another review, and that is for World Beyond Episode 3. Now, last week's review, I wasn't too impressed by the episode overall. It wasn't the best. It was a lot of filler. I personally didn't think they knew exactly where they were trying to go with the story. But this episode, episode 3, is much better, guys. It really is. It tells a really much better outlined story and also gives really, really good character development, especially to Silas. This is a very strong episode and it brings it back to the feeling that I had after episode 1. I can't wait for episode 4. So hopefully they take episode 4 and 5 and just keep going with this momentum. It really was an interesting episode for Silas. Silas, we don't know much about the character yet, and this was our first real delve into what's going on with him. Now, he is basically looked at in the community before they left as an outcast, as this kind of freak. People even hear kids saying, "I can't believe they let him in here after what he did." And we get to see little flashbacks of what Silas did. His hands all bruised up, probably have to fight his way out. His own family turning into walkers, and he has to kill them and fight his own way out of them. But in the community, these kids have been sheltered off for so long. These people have been sheltered off for so long that they look at something like that as a bad act, as something that should not happen. It makes you a freak. It makes you a monster. It makes you a sicko. But us coming off the main show, The Walking Dead, we to see the likes of Rick, Daryl, Michonne fight day in and day out to survive. So it's pretty common for us. That kind of behavior for that community is very uncommon, and they look at it as a kind of a weird thing. So Silas is a very interesting character with a very interesting backstory, and I want to see more from him. And at the moment, right now, it was Hope, but Silas for me is my favorite character, and I want to see more from him. I like the mystery around him. I like how he uses his words when he does talk. It's very educational. It's very interesting. It's very provoking, and look, he's a lot of tension built up. He's a lot of anger built up, but he's a big guy. He's pretty strong. He gets to use it in this episode to save the group. So Hope finally tells Iris exactly what happened with their mother, that she's the reason that her mother died, and then they had to kill the woman that killed their mother with the gun. And look, Hope finally spills the beans, and in an emotional scene, it works pretty well. I think the chemistry between the two sisters, and it has to be good, and it is very good between the two of them. And Iris and Hope do have a good relationship with each other, and Iris, of course, forgives her straight away, and they get to move on together. But Elliot for me is a character we haven't seen too much from yet. He has to win me over, but I'm sure his backstory is definitely coming. We will get to see more from Elliot. Elliot's type of character, maybe it's going to be the next episode and the episode after. We will get to see his backstory, what really kind of a character he is. He's going to play a big part in this season, especially with Hope and Iris's mother. Elliot's mother is the one that killed their mother, and then Hope is the one that killed Elliot's mother. So that's going to be interesting when all that is brought out to light. Who's going to stand side by side? Will this cause turmoil for the group? I'm sure it will. The character development so far for me is working pretty good. We've got to see Iris, we've got to see Hope, now Silas, Elliot's to come. We've got to see Felix, and probably get to see Hook as well. It's all good. I think it actually is outlining a very good story for World Beyond. Episode 2 for me was a big downer. It was, and they should have had some of these elements in this episode, in that episode, or maybe some more stuff with the CRM to make it a more interesting episode. Episode 2 for me was a big letdown, especially after episode 1. But episode 3 definitely saves that. Some of the acting throughout the episode isn't the best, especially with, I would say, Iris. Now, that's got to do with a little bit of the chemistry between the cast. That's not completely there yet. The group, the four of them together, the chemistry is not hitting the right buttons for me yet. Some of the jokes are off, some of the humor doesn't really work. But I will give that to the end of the season. I'm sure they're only in the show, they're only getting to hang out with each other now. So ultimately, straight away, it's not supposed to be perfect, so maybe that's something that they will develop over time. Felix and Hook finally find the group. They reunite, and they're there to kind of help them through this blaze of fire, if that's what you want to call it, of walkers. Where, to be honest with you, these group of children aren't educational enough, they aren't experienced enough to take down as many walkers as that. They struggle with just one walker between the four of them, but ultimately they need Hook and Felix to get out of this situation. The stories are getting tackled pretty quickly, and I like this about the show. They're not leaving it open-ended, and for the conclusion for these episodes to happen at the very last episode of the season finale. Felix and Hook went after the group after the episode 1. They finally reunite now straight away after episode 3. So that was sewn up pretty quickly. I thought the majority of the season we get to see the 4 teenagers together, and then Felix and Hook, and then maybe at the end of the season they come across each other or something like that. But I'm glad those kind of stories are getting fixed up pretty quickly. Now they want to get out of this blaze of fire of the walkers, and they need to fix the siren, and Hope fixes the siren, and they get out of it, and they're making the dash to get out of this blaze of walkers, this blaze of fire. And look, they're about to get out, but then Elliot drops some bags. The group is trying to go through this gap where there's tires each side, and the tires are about to fall. And this is where Silas really comes into it. Silas doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to kill walkers. He doesn't want to fight anybody. He just wants to just go on this journey, just find himself, just live his life in a different way, and not having to be judged. So he will not ultimately fight walkers. He won't do it. But when he's needed, he's needed. The group is about to be trampled by these tires, and he steps in with his big strength. He's a big guy and he has lots of strength, and he stops the tires from falling on the group, and he saves the day in that aspect. Now there's so much anger built up in Silas, and I'm sure we'll get to see him explode in some capacity throughout this season. Is it going to be towards walkers, or is it going to be towards people who are enemies towards the group? Very interesting, and I can't wait to see how all that plays out. Now Felix and Hook want to go back to the community. They want to go back. They want to wait for the next bus that's going to be passing by, and then they get to go back, and the kids will follow them. But the kids don't want to go. They want to go on this journey to New York to find Hope and Iris' father, because they believe that he is in danger. Silas doesn't want to go back because he's judged and mocked and he has no life. Elliot just wants to go because he doesn't know what he wants to be either, and he's just living in a life of repetitiveness coming into it. And then he wants to kind of explore more about his own self and grow as a person, which it is an interesting aspect for the kids. So the kids are going to continue on the journey, but this time they have Felix and Hook. And I like this because Felix and Hook can show them how to actually fight walkers. They can show them how to mind themselves when they're out in the open like this. Now the ending for this episode was pretty strong. We got to look at where exactly the CRM is. Elizabeth, the leader in episode 1 that brought the soldiers to the community, and then at the end of the episode killed every single person. She's in like an apartment, and it looks like a pretty good apartment. They look to be in a city as well. We get to hear a helicopter fly over. She has energy. She's got food. She got loads of stuff there, and she's living it up in this apartment. But it's a real society, and that's what interests me. How many people have lived here? How many people are soldiers? How many people are just common people just working day to day? It's all an interesting thing that I can't wait to learn about. But the soldier that we get to see from episode 1 comes to meet Elizabeth, and he questions her. Do you not feel guilt? He can't live with himself after what happened after episode 1. He says we didn't have to kill those people. They wouldn't have been a threat. So Elizabeth shows him, look at all we have here. We've got electricity, we've got agriculture, we've got people. We've got all this stuff. We have to make sure that we keep it. Those people didn't seem like a threat, but they could have been. And that's probably got to do with a big part of it when Iris, in her speech in episode 1, was kind of calling out CRM and asking them, who exactly are you? You won't let us communicate with people in your community. You won't let us come to your community or anything like that. And that probably triggered Elizabeth to say these could end up being a threat in some capacity in the future, so we have to kill them all. So it looks like if you go against the CRM in any capacity, they will kill you, and they will not hold any remorse. They will just take you out, because then down the line you could be a threat. Elizabeth is a terrible person, and she says to the soldier, look, this is what we have, but you need to live with this. You need to go, and you need to basically go to a rehab to show them, look, we are good people, we're fighting for the next future of the world, and you want to be a part of it or not. Then that's basically it. You're going to be getting a job, and you will not be a soldier for the CRM. And that's basically what he does. And he tells her this isn't right. You can't live with yourself like this. They leave. He's been put in some sort of kind of rehab prison. She's sitting there. She turns up her music. She turns up her television. She drinks her soup. She turns on the lights. But then she breaks down and starts crying. She does feel guilt for what she's done. And maybe this isn't the first time that she's done it. She's had to do this to so many other communities. And I can't wait for that to be tackled. For me, World Beyond is going in the right direction, and I'm very interested. It has a purpose. It has a story. It's tying into the Rick movies. Is Rick in this community that Elizabeth is in? What way is it exactly going? I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Very strong episode. Very strong ending. And it sets up even more for the coming episodes. Guys, I can't wait for the rest of World Beyond. I hope we don't get too many more episodes like 2, I hope they're more like 1 and 3. Because let me know your thoughts, what you think of World Beyond episode 3. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think is the most interesting aspect of this series? What is keeping you engaged? See you next time, guys.